Hello Chestnut class! As you're aware from my video that you've already watched on Class Dojo this morning, our inquiry question this week is, how have I faced the challenge of home learning? And this week we're going to be working together to answer that question ahead of our conference on Friday. So before we go any further, Year 6, you're going to need to get your stationery organised. So that's your pens, your pencil, your ruler, and your learning journey book or your English book. Okay, when you've got those things organised and you're ready to begin, come back to the video. Okay, Year 6, hopefully you're organised then and you're ready to begin. Now, as you already know, our gateway for this half term is explorers. And being an explorer is about following your passions and seeking challenge in order to aspire to be the best version of yourself. Now, we've been focusing on 2 questions this half term when we've been doing our reflections and as we've been working together. And this week, we're going to really be thinking even deeper about those questions as part of our overall inquiry question. Now, please could you open up your English book or your learning journey book to a clean double page. And you're going to present your first page in the following way. So on the left-hand side of your page, you're going to write today's date and use hopefully a red pen or a coloured pen that you have at home to underline the dates with a ruler, please. And then on the left hand side of that page, you're going to use your pencil and a ruler to draw a straight line. And then that will give you some space for your thinking column. Now later on, just towards the end of this video, you're going to write probably about 3, maybe 4 sentences in this column. So you need to leave enough room to do that, please, Year 6, but without taking over your whole page. And at the top, of that sort of space that you've created, your column, you're going to write thinking column. Because it's a title, it has capital letters. And again, you're going to underline that with your red pen or the same colour that you used for your date with a ruler. Please take your time to check you've spelled column correctly, because I haven't seen many people do that yet. And then at the top of your page, okay, somewhere near your date, you're going to write this question, our inquiry question. You will be doing some work underneath Year 6, so make sure you leave enough room to annotate around the question, but also to do some writing underneath. As you write the question, please use your neatest joined up handwriting. Check you have copied the spellings carefully and that you have punctuated your question accurately. Okay, I'm going to give you time to do that now, Year 6, so pause the video, and when you've got your page set up in this way, come back to me. Okay, as we always do then, Year 6, we're going to begin by unpicking our inquiry question. And the first thing that we always do when we're together in school is identify the key words. And we underline the key words, again, using our red pen and a ruler. Now, I've already begun to do that here, and hopefully you're going to agree with the underlining that I've done. So I've said how is a key word. I is a key word, and face. Do I really need to know what this means? What does it mean if you face a challenge? I also want to be clear about what a challenge is and what home learning is. Now, I'm going to unpick how first of all. So what I've done is I've drawn an arrow coming up to the word explaining. So if I'm going to say how I faced a challenge, how means I've got to do some explaining. And I'm really familiar with explaining, and when I've explained in the past, I've used words like because, but, so and. I've used phrases such as in my opinion, therefore and furthermore. I've also used pieces of punctuation like colons, so I could have that coming off. I've used semicolons and brackets when I've been explaining as well. So how is all to do with explaining how you face a challenge. Now Year 6, you might want to pause the video now and annotate your how in your book, or you might want to come with me and hear all of the words first and do the annotating in a moment. It's up to you. Okay, I'm going to think about I next. Now, means that it's personal to me or to you. It's not about everybody else. So when you're doing your thinking this week, I want to really know what you think. And I want to know the personal things that you've been thinking about. Okay, again, you might want to pause the video now, Year 6, and annotate I, or you might want to wait until the end in a moment. Okay, then what does it mean if you face something, or you've stood up to something? Well, it might mean that you've met the challenge. It may be how you've coped with something, or how you've overcome something, or stood up to something. So I'll be thinking this week, how have I met a challenge? How have I coped with challenges? How have I overcome challenges? Now, a challenge to me is something that I found difficult. Maybe a test or a trial that I've had. Okay, this leads us on to home learning then, Year 6. Now, in years to come, if somebody was to pick up your journal, would they know what home learning is? Now, to me, home learning is how we've been learning during a COVID-19 lockdown. So it's all the different ways that we've had to be learning this half term, and all the ways that we've adapted to continue learning during what has been a really difficult and challenging time. Okay, Year 6, so it's time now, if you haven't already, to pause the video and to annotate your question. Of course, you can use what you've got in front of you, but you can add extra information. You might want to add extra synonyms for the word challenge. You might want to add extra bits for explaining, like I was saying earlier. You might want to add in the punctuation that you've used in the past. When you have finished annotating your question, come back. Oh, Year 6, before I forget, don't forget to use a ruler for those arrows. Okay, pause the video now then, and then come back when you are ready. Okay, so if we were in school Year 6, the next thing we'd be thinking about is, how am I going to answer this question? What's my outcome going to be? Now, this is just a quick reminder of what you already know, because you will have watched the video on Class Dojo this morning. So this week, you're going to create some reflections to share with me during a conference on Friday. So we're going to meet one-to-one on Zoom on Friday, so that we can share work that you're proud of together, and we can celebrate the work you're proud of. We can talk about what's been a challenge and how you've overcome your challenges. And we can set ourselves a target and think about, right, what can I do differently after half term to meet these challenges and to overcome the challenges I've faced. Okay, so that is your outcome. Now, I suggest Year 6 that you pause the video now and you independently find a way to record your outcome. It could be writing it as a sentence like I've done. It could be a little mind map. It could be some bullet points. That's up to you, Year 6. But it's time to pause the video and record your outcome in your learning journey. Okay, hopefully you've recorded your outcome then. Now, this is what your week's going to look like. And again, this is just a reminder from the video you've already watched. So on Monday, that's today, we're going to be thinking about our proudest achievements. On Wednesday, we're going to be thinking about the challenges we faced and how we've overcome them. And on Thursday or Friday, we're going to be setting ourselves a target and we're going to be conferencing. Now, the conferencing is definitely on Friday. Everybody will have a time slot. Now, you may be thinking, why are we doing this? Why are we reflecting on our learning? Now, Albert Einstein has famously said, insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, as this quote suggests, if we don't think about what we're doing year 6 and other ways of doing things, then we're never going to make progress and we're never going to achieve different outcomes. Reflection is essential for all learning. If we're finding something a challenge and we just keep going in the same way that we've always done, we're never going to have it achieved differently. We're never going to overcome that challenge. So this week is really about being proud of what we've achieved, but also thinking, right, what am I finding difficult? What am I going to do differently after half term? And it's a really important part of our learning. Okay, so it's time now, year 6, just to pause the video and double check that you've got your question annotated, you've recorded the outcome, and some of you may want to record what your week's going to look like, and you may even want to include this quote from Albert Einstein and explain why we're doing or why we have this inquiry question this week. Okay, year 6, so your page, your first sort of page, looks something like this. You've got your unpicked question at the top, you might have your outcome recorded and what your week's going to look like somewhere on your page as well. You'll have your thinking column on the right hand side. And now it's time to think about creating a mind map. And we're going to mind map what are my proudest achievements. Okay, now to do this, we're going to use Class Dojo to help us. And you're going to really think about what is personal to you. What are you most proud of achieving in your learning this half term? Now, when you create your mind map year 6, you're going to write this question in the middle of your circle. I suggest you do the writing first. Again, making sure it's joined up, spelt correctly, punctuated correctly. And then I would draw the circle around it. And using your ruler and a pencil, draw the arrows coming off of it. Now, to begin with, you're just going to write in the top half of your mind map. You're going to leave the bottom space blank, because we're going to do something different in the bottom half of our mind map in a moment. When you draw the arrows, think about drawing it into spaces where you've got room to annotate. If I draw it up here, I'm not going to have room to annotate. Okay, so make sure you do your arrow nice and straight, somewhere you've got space to write around it. So, what are my proudest achievements? So you're going to go back to Dojo now and have a look through your portfolio. Have a look through your books at home, okay? And really think to yourself, what am I proud of? Please don't try and do this from your memory. Please pause the video and spend some time really thinking about this, because if you miss this step out or you try and rush this step, you're going to find the rest of your week really tricky. Now, some examples for you. You might think of a subject that you have found or that you've been most proud of this week. So that could be reading, for example, Miss Hike's reading. You're proud of doing your reading because The Stormkeeper's Island's not usually a book that you would really read, but you haven't given up, you've kept going, and you're really proud of tackling that, reading that subject. It could be that you're proud of a spelling score that you achieved. Okay, and being proud isn't about getting everything right, year 6. You can be proud of scoring 7 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 because for you that was a real achievement. You could be proud of a piece of maths learning you've done. Perhaps you found a question tricky and like this person here, you had a go, you came to the Zoom lesson and you realised that your method, your strategy wasn't quite right, and then you went back, just like this person has here, you went back and had another go, and then you shared your new thinking on Class Dojo with me. You might be really proud like this person because you wrote a few sentences to describe your character last week. You brought these sentences to your Zoom lesson, and then during your Zoom lesson, you edited and improved your sentences to write a short paragraph. Okay. You might be really proud of a thinking column or a challenge you set yourself this week. So this person challenged themselves on the page before to use a relative clause in their writing. They set themselves a target and then they achieved that target in their writing and they reflected upon it. You may be really proud of yourselves that the target you've set this week. You might be pleased with a piece of reflective work you've done. Or like this person, you might have been using the draft function. So you may have done a piece of learning. I may have asked you a question and then you may have responded to that question to deepen your thinking. Okay, so year 6, it's time to go away now then. Go back to Dojo, go back to your books, really spend some time thinking, what are your proudest achievements? And then when you're ready, record them in the top half of your mind map. Okay, pause the video now then and then come back when you are ready. Okay then, year 6. So this is still on the same page. I have just zoomed in to my mind map to make it easier for us. So hopefully you have now picked some things that you are proud of. And some examples, this is what I've picked. I've said writing a description of a storm which my reader could picture in their imagination. I know lots of you are proud of your descriptions last week. Reading, so Miss Hike's reading lessons. Or you may be proud of a challenge or a target you set yourself. Okay, now this bottom part, we're going to think about the character traits we've been developing. And through thinking as an explorer, I know that I am really proud of the determination that I have shown this half term. So that's a skill that I have been developing. Even as a teacher, I've had to be determined this half term because I've had to learn new ways of working. I've had to learn new skills, and I'm proud and of my determination. It could be that you're proud of your resilience this half term. You found things tricky, but you've not given up. You may be proud of your independence. Perhaps you've been working on things at home on your own and you haven't had as much support as you normally would at school. Now it's time to pause the video, year 6, and just think to yourself now, again this is very personal to you, what skills are you most proud of developing or using this half term? Pause the video now, add the skills to the bottom part of your mind map. Okay, welcome back then, year 6. Hopefully your mind map then looks something like this. At the top, you've got the work that you're proud of, and at the bottom, you've got the skills or the character traits that you've been developing and that you are proud of. Now, we're going to deepen our thinking a little bit more now. We're in year 6, so we need to be able to justify or explain why we are proud of the things that we've included in our mind map. So why are you proud of your reading lessons? Why are you proud of setting and reaching a target? Why are you proud of the determination you've shown? Now, to do this, you're going to have some more arrows coming off of the things that you've already been writing about. So let me just show you here. I focused on independence, so I'm going to justify or explain why I'm proud of the independence that I've shown. So first of all, I'm going to say what I did. Okay. I've created a space where I can work quietly. I gathered all the equipment I need for learning and organised this space. So that's what I did. I'm really proud of independently. I created a space at home, whether that's in my bedroom or in the living room or at the dining room table. I created a space where I can work quietly. I've got all my equipment there all together and I'm ready to learn. Now, the impact of this, what this means is that I could focus on my learning without being disturbed. And that's one of my proudest achievements this half term. Let's have a look at something else I've had to do independently that I'm really proud of. Now, I know lots of people have been doing this. The first thing I do each morning is check Dojo and decide how I am best going to use my time that day. So I know lots of you look at your portfolio, you look at the list on the class story, and some of you have been creating a timetable or a to-do list. And this has meant that you could keep track of your progress that day, and it helped you to not feel overwhelmed. Okay, now if you were thinking about an example from Miss Hike's reading lessons, you might include an example about sibilance or alliteration or personification. Okay, so it's time now then, year 6, to pause the video, to use your pencil and a ruler to draw some arrows coming off of the things that you're proud of, and to justify or explain why you are proud of these things. Then when you've done that, come back to the video, please. Okay then, welcome back year 6. Hopefully then, your page is looking something a little bit like mine. You've got your date and question that you've unpicked. Perhaps you've recorded the outcome and how you're going to organise your week. Perhaps the Albert Einstein quote. And you've got a mind map which gives me examples of your proudest achievements. And then you've just justified and explained why you are proud of those achievements. And that's really going to help you to talk confidently to me on Friday. And it's going to mean that we can really celebrate together all the incredible things that you have achieved this half term. Because I know year 6, you have all worked incredibly hard and you should be very proud of your achievements. Now, the last part of this learning journey today is our thinking column. And we've got 2 questions to include in our thinking column. Now, your thinking column is on the right-hand side of your page. And you'll remember earlier that I asked you to leave space to do this. Okay, so what I've done is I've just zoomed into the thinking column so that I've got enough room here just to write with you. So the first question you're going to think about is and answer, not just think about, you're going to answer it as well. How do you feel about your half term after reflecting on your learning and why? So if you could pause the video now, year 6, and copy that question really carefully, really accurately, joined up handwriting, correct punctuation, correct spellings. Just copy that under your thinking column title into your book now, please. Now, I would be thinking year 6, welcome back, hopefully you've got that question in. I would be thinking that most of you can have a go at answering that question on your own. Okay, now I have got some examples here to share with you, but I would be really proud of you challenging yourselves to have a go without me. So if you really think you can do that, and I know most of you can, pause the video now and have a go at answering that question, and then come back to this video and we can share how we've got on. Okay, hopefully you've had a go then. You've challenged yourselves today. Now, I suspect some of us have written something that looks like this. I feel proud of my achievements this half term. So how do you feel? You feel proud or you feel happy, pleased? So you're saying how you feel. And now we're going to say why. I worked very hard to overcome some challenges I faced. So you're pleased because you worked very hard. Well, let's think now, because we're in year 6, not only are we going to say how we feel and what we did, we're also going to give why. We're going to deepen that thinking. So I've changed my sentence starter here. I've got a bit more of a grown-up sentence starter. I've used a subordinate clause. After reflecting on my half term, because that's what we've been doing this morning, we've been thinking about our half term, I feel proud of my achievements. Now I'm using because to justify, to give more information, more detail. After reflecting on my half term, I feel proud of my achievements because I mostly worked independently and I worked very hard to overcome some challenges I faced. So I've explained here, year 6, why I feel proud. And I feel proud because I've used that independence skill. Okay, right, I'd like you now, year 6, just to have a look at your review, your sentence. Could you use a more grown-up sentence starter? Perhaps a subordinate clause like me. Okay, or perhaps, you might have a different idea, that's fine. Have you used the word because or a similar justification? And have you explained why you're proud or why you're happy or why you're pleased? Okay, have a look now then, year 6, and come back to the video when you are ready. Okay, welcome back, year 6. I would just like to share with you one final example of how to answer this question. After reflecting on my half term, I feel proud of my achievements because I mostly worked independently. It took a lot of resilience and determination to do this because when I was faced with a challenge, I had to find a way to overcome it on my own. Okay, so in this one, year 6, I've used that conjunction because to explain why I was proud, but I've also used the dash here to give a personal comment. So I've developed my my justification. I said independently, and it took a lot of resilience to do that. So a lot of thinking, right, I can do this, I'm not going to give up. And that's something I often say to you in class, isn't it, year 6? Have that growth mindset. Think to yourself, I can do this, I can do this. So it took a lot of resilience and determination to do this, because when I was faced with a challenge, I had to find a way to overcome it on my own. So I've added a greater depth of justification there. Now I'm going to go on to think about resilience a little bit more. Being resilient has meant that I continue to make progress in reading, despite it not being the subject I feel most confident in. So now not only have I said how I feel and why, with a deeper justification, I'm talking about the impact of that. So because I've done this, because I've worked independently, I've continued to make progress. Furthermore, when I think about overcoming challenges in the future, I feel more positive about being able to do it again. My growth mindset has improved. Okay, so I've said how I feel and why. I've deepened my thinking to explain in more depth about my independence. I've then thought about the impact that it has. So by being more independent, I've continued to make progress. And then furthermore, so I've added another layer of thinking. I've thought about the future and what happens when I have a challenge in the future and how it has changed my mindset towards challenges. Okay, Year 6, I'm going to ask you to pause the video now and review your answer in your thinking column. I know that lots and lots of you, whether you're in school or at home, can challenge yourself to really think deeply and to really do your best to explain your thinking this morning. Okay, when you've done that, come back to the video, please. Okay, the final part of today's learning journey entry today. We've got one more question to put into our thinking column. So this final question is, why are we usually more proud of things that have been challenging for us to achieve? So normally Year 6, the things that we're most proud of are things that have been challenging or difficult for us to achieve. Things that we've had to work really hard for, because when something's easy, we're not as proud of it actually. We haven't had to really push ourselves. So like we did earlier, I think most of you could answer that question, or certainly give it a really good go now without looking at my examples first. So pause the video, Year 6, have a go at answering that question and then come back to me. Okay, so you've copied the question into your book, you've checked your spellings, your handwriting's joined up, you've got a piece of punctuation at the end of your question, and you've hopefully had a go at answering it. Let's have a look then at example A. I think we are usually more proud of things that have been challenging to achieve because we've had to work much harder to achieve them. Brilliant. That's a really straightforward answer, Year 6. We've used the word because, that subordinate conjunction, to justify our thinking. We could take our sentence a step further. We could use a different sentence starter. So rather than saying I think, we could use the more grown-up a sentence starter of in my opinion. So in my opinion, we are usually more proud of things that have been challenging to achieve because we've had to work much harder to achieve them. Not only are we proud of the outcome, we're proud of the skills we've had to apply, such as resilience, determination, or independence. So just like on our mind map earlier, we're not only proud of the things that we did or the things we've achieved, but we're usually more proud of the skills or the character traits that we've had to show, just like we were thinking about in our mind map earlier. Okay, let's have a look at one final example then. In my opinion, we are usually most proud of things that have been challenging to achieve because we've had to work much harder to achieve them. Not only are we proud of the outcome, we're proud of skills we've had to apply, such as resilience, determination, or independence. Usually these achievements are more memorable because we learn and develop from the journey we've been on. Okay, so usually these things have shaped us. We've been on a journey. If we're proud of something, it usually means at the start we found it tricky. Perhaps Year 6, we've gone into that learning pit. We've talked about learning pits before, where we're really stuck in a pit that we don't think we can get out of. We've had to be resilient and show determination. And that journey, that coming out of the pit, means that we are proud and we remember our achievements much more clearly because of that journey we've been on. Okay, Year 6, it's time to pause then and just review your answer to this question. Okay, when you've done that, you can give yourselves a really big pat on the back because you have completed the first part of this week's learning journey, and you are a step closer, Year 6, to achieving your outcome. You're a step closer to being ready for our conference on Friday. So well done to everybody, and I really do hope you are feeling proud of yourself, because it doesn't matter how many times I tell you that I'm proud, or your grown-ups at home tell you that they're proud of you. I really want you to feel that today and to be beaming from ear to ear with and just showcasing your achievements to the world. Okay, have a lovely day, Year 6, and I'm sure I will speak to you very, very soon.